singing shit on. Yo, wake up, yo, what the f, chat? Yo, wake up. I don't care what time it is. I need you to wake up. I need you to be here. Turn. I know what time it is. I don't know if you're accustomed to this or if you know, but I just feel like I should just come with a lot more energy. Back with solo reactions, y'all know the vibes. Listen, I'm gonna turn the light on because I know the vibes. I know the vibes. Get in tune, get in tune, get in tune. We are here. Back on my Sweden vibe. We're here for some Trap Loros. I didn't even know he had a clip channel. He dropped like an hour-long Sweden like little like it's not even a series. It's like a little documentary of just I guess the wild shit happening in Sweden. If y'all want to see that, put down in the comments. These are just clips from that. This is about 11 minutes. Sweden's deadly gang problem. Now I've seen in prior videos that Sweden does get active. It does get crazy over there. I won't say nothing else. Social media is on this screen. I do this, man. I mean, I told you I was gonna come with the solo reactions. And again, looking this way, I'm looking at OBS.
Sweden, the country that gave us ABBA and IKEA, is probably the last country.
They gave us who?
Sweden. The country that gave us ABBA and IKEA is probably the last country you would think of when it comes to.
I ain't gonna lie, a lot of times when I don't really understand things, you might see me Google it. So, that being said, okay. Her Swedish pop supergroup formed in Stockholm, 1972. That's all I needed to know. So all I need to know is just get back into this.
Gangsta rap. It's a country known for its stability.
Had to educate myself real quick.
Safety being rated #1 for quality of life. Sweden and affordability. It's safety.
Sweden. Cost of living in Sweden is an average 20% lower than the United States, while renting is 57%. Damn, almost 60%.
Being rated #1 for quality of life. Sweden has ranked #1 on the Gender Equality Index. They provide universal health care and free education to the level that the United States can only dream of. It's a beautiful country with incredible nature, picturesque landscapes, but behind the surface lurks a dangerous underbelly. Because despite all of the positive things that Sweden has gotten right, it's a country with deep-seated problems. For example, the international media has sometimes paid attention to violence occurring in one particular spot of the country. The city of Malmö, in the southern tip of Sweden, which has since the early 2010s made headlines for having an unusually high number of
execution-style shootings and the police state. That's crazy. Third largest city have sparked fears that gangster violence is taking a hold. Damn.
Of shootings. However, tensions have risen to new highs in the mid.
That's actually crazy.
Following the so-called European refugee crisis, during which the liberal and desirable state of Sweden received.
Where all my Swedish people at? Yo, comment down below if you're from Sweden, man. Let me know where you're from.
The most asylum applications per capita in Europe. Over time, news and other media,
is it as crazy as
right-leaning ones, have begun publishing alarming reports of so-called no-go zones where even the police couldn't go due to out-of-control gang activity.
Our next guest has just returned from a trip to Europe. He went over there because he wanted to see the migrant crisis firsthand for himself. He went to no-go zones in Sweden. I didn't think there were such places, but there are no-go zones where the police do not go. While he was there, he was jumped by 5 thugs.
I went there, met with the police officers. They said, when we're pursuing a suspect and they cross that threshold, and there's about 30 or 40 of them in Sweden, they will not pursue.
I've just returned from Sweden, where something...
So basically, if you're on the run and you go past that little border or little limitation line, you're good? Like,
happened.
They're really not going to pursue you?
Imagined in such a wonderful country. My crew and I were attacked. We had things thrown at us. We were punched and kicked, and my cameraman was run over. Unfortunately, Sweden has become a victim of its own humanity. For all its generosity, Sweden is now grappling with communities of disaffected migrants who can't find jobs and have few prospects. There are now 50...
Yo, I know I'm pausing a lot, but again, this is reaction. I gotta add my input. But do y'all even mess with my son Trap Loros, you know, his videos? If you do, again, he does have a whole bunch of other content based out in Europe for me. He got the whole, I think he did one on Suspect, and like how he got caught and everything like that. So again, if y'all want that, comment down below, man. I'm back in the comments.
Zones in Sweden, police have to escort ambulances to ensure their safety. Within minutes of us arriving, a group of young men...
Can nigga just throw 2 cigarettes out? Oh.
Within minutes of us arriving, a group of young men make it clear we're not wanted and deliberately run down our cameraman.
Whoops! Nej men vad fan!
Hey, 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 hey.
Gå on!
And even they fear their presence will be provocative.
I think it's better if you go in without us, because I think it would be...
Very aggressive.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're young. So we will stay here, and if it is...
That's fine.
You watch us.
Thank you. Okay.
Soon, it seemed that this violence and lawlessness had spread to the entire country, as reports circulated of teenagers roaming the streets of Sweden with rifles, and shootouts had become commonplace. The right-wing politicians in Sweden and elsewhere were quick to take advantage of these news stories to push their immigration and crime policies. And even globally, right-wing politicians seek to capitalize on the issue, with Donald Trump himself even being particularly outspoken about the problems arising in Sweden.
Didn't even know that. It was 2017.
Last night in Sweden. Sweden? Who would believe this? Sweden. They took in large numbers. They're having problems like they never thought possible. I love Sweden. Great country, great people. I love Sweden. But they understand I'm right. The people over there understand I'm right. Take a look at what's happening in Sweden.
To be fair, the more liberal and left-leaning media were equally quick to focus on dismantling these claims and suggesting that the problems had at least been greatly exaggerated, with senior figures in the Swedish police coming out to publicly denounce the existence of so-called no-go zones in the country.
To me, I've been working in the most vulnerable areas.
See, don't lie now. It's really a no-go zone. Don't just play it off like...
In my opinion, we know for 18 years. We don't have a no-go zone in Stockholm. In my opinion, we don't have a no-go zone in Sweden.
But this isn't a video about the migrant crisis. It's a video about gangsters. And not dissimilar to the migration in the United States that saw Italian Americans establishing the mafia there. In the years that followed the influx of people from all over the world, a new, modern gang culture would emerge in Sweden, arguably with a heavy influence from gangster rap and drill music coming out of Chicago and London. Because as the years went on, reports about increasing violence, and particularly increasing gang-related violence, would unfortunately not go away, but become much more common in Sweden. From shooting high-caliber weapons into rivals' apartments, shootouts in the...
Hey, Blur, it's like, I'm just looking at just nothing but blur. Like, I know YouTube got their restrictions and all, but like, I don't even know what's the point of putting this if, you feel me?
Middle of the street, ghost riding...
I can't even tell what's happening.
As for cover, drive-bys out of BMWs with AK-47s, brazen assassinations in packed restaurants, to turf wars between rival gangs that go far beyond shootouts, with gangsters
just say hand grenade battles? Am I bugging?
That go far beyond shootouts, with gangsters literally blowing up their ops buildings.
It happened in the residential area in Fullerö, north of the city of Uppsala. Investigators say the 25-year-old victim was a neighbour of the targeted premises and had no criminal links. Several other people were injured in 2 other
this nigga
blasts
Trap
across the
Ross is
country,
playing it
one in
real
the south
safe
and one
with...
in a suburb of Stockholm. The attacks are said to be part of a long-running feud between 2 rival gangs in a turf war of drugs and weapons.
Come on, bro.
Shootouts and bombings have become commonplace in part of the country, leaving the media, public, and politicians asking themselves what can be done to stop the out-of-control gangs from waging war there. Going into the election year of 2022, gang violence became a hot-button issue for voters in Sweden, and even the left-leaning political party in power at the time was admitting that something had gone deeply wrong in the country. But that seemed to be too little, too late for the Swedish public. And now it was the right-wing parties, particularly the far-right party Sweden Democrats, who would end up coming out as a big winner at the elections and becoming the second largest party in Sweden. This enabled them to finally have direct government influence for the first time in the party's history, despite not officially becoming a government party. Now, much of the new government's policy initiatives would center around tougher immigration policies and introducing harsher sentences for gang members, including those who were underage, with the leader of the far-right party even suggesting that kids as young as 13 should be able to get a life sentence. But by this time, the problem was deeply entrenched in Swedish culture, and the gangs in Sweden had already formed, being made up of youths who had moved to Sweden years, even decades ago, and in many cases who had even been born in Sweden, representing the second or third generation of immigrants. And of course, as we all know, where there's gangsters struggling, it's only a matter of time before some of those gangsters become gangster rappers and begin using their music to tell the tale of their struggle in the streets. In recent years, in connection to the rise
he
of
blew
gang
up fast.
culture, the new
Suspect blew up fast and just they caught that man. It's like, but when you doing stuff like that and then you're rapping about it, you gotta know you're putting yourself on a, like, you know what I'm saying, on like putting yourself more on the map, more on the radar. That I'm here. I might just be, you know what I'm saying?
Years of intense gang violence,
it's like police is going
from those streets,
come and grab you up.
Gangster rappers who have become mainstream names in the Swedish music scene, all off the back of their alleged ties to serious criminal gangs. But after the genre's biggest star, rapper Einar, who had allegedly seemingly associated with several different gangs from the country, was first kidnapped by one of these gangs in 2020 and later shot to death in 2021 by unknown assailants in an execution-style attack that was also deemed gang-related.
There has
been much debate over what role do the rappers play in participating in and fueling the escalating gang culture in Sweden. And one of the more recent examples, in October 2023, Sweden was experiencing a particularly shocking wave of violence, apparently driven by one of the more prominent modern gangs, the Foxtrot network, which the police suspect to be
I feel like I heard this before.
Drug distributors for the moment. They would fall into an all-out war against their enemies for the control of the country's drug trade.
Wasn't that
going through a bloody internal conflict that has seemingly split the gang into two sides, and following a string of deadly shootings and bombings where numerous people had been killed, including a 13-year-old kid and the mother of a gang member. A rapper named 50, affiliated with the gang, would even go on Instagram Live together with one of the gang's alleged leaders, Benzema, who was allegedly hiding from the Swedish police in Iraq and had even rumored to have been dead, killed by hired assassins. However, this would turn out to be just a trick by Benzema to fool his ops, who he would taunt relentlessly in the video, while toting a gold-plated AK-47 and surrounded by similarly armed goons looking like a real-life character from GTA. Unfortunately for 50 and Benzema, their gangster lifestyle wouldn't last for long, because soon after, 50 and several other Foxtrot affiliates were arrested in Tunisia on gang-related charges. While for Benzema, the end would be even worse, because in January 2024, he would end up being assassinated in the middle of a busy street in Iraq, shot in his car, just like he had faked his death only a few months ago.
Damn, bro, this happened a couple months ago, January 2024.
With Swedish gangster rappers' connections to the criminal underworld being this blatant, it's no surprise then that much like in some other European countries such as the UK, there have even been demands to censor gangster rap artists in the Swedish media. Meanwhile, other gangster rappers have announced that they're ending their music careers, concerned about the influence they're having on the youths and tired of the mental load that comes with participating in this modern-day reality show that gangbanging has become online. So today, we're going to dig deep and look into the shocking untold story of the rise of gangs.
He got me real interested, and I'm forgetting this only 11-minute video. Yeah, this is how his Sweden documentary starts.
Sweden is rich in scenic variety. From the wide plains of the south.
Sweden's amazing. It's incredible. The people are beautiful. They've got no trash. Their fish even tastes like candy. Like, nothing bad ever happens there.
Candy's crazy.
Broke out in the Stockholm suburb.
Just across the narrow waterway is the bustling traffic of the modern city.
You look at what's happening last night in Sweden. Sweden. Who would believe this? Sweden. They took in large numbers.
Yo, if I have to look at another blurred screen.
Policemen to direct visitors to the points of interest.
Sweden. And then a day later, I said, has anybody reported what's going on?
Vi har mycket skjutningar och vi har mycket mord. Jag återkommer till det.
And it turned out that they didn't, not too many of them. Take a look. Take a look at what happened in Sweden.
And Sweden looking like they making it saying this shit a war zone, like. Presents.
40 no-go zones in Sweden.
This is definitely how his whole
30 to 40 of them.
That's right.
Hour-long video starts. It seemed interesting though. He's doing a good job of making it intriguing.
Program is child welfare. Today, this old kingdom is a modern country.
It sounds like shooting.
But in many ways, it remains picturesque Sweden.
Out of control gang wars. Oh, well, I guess it is gang wars because that's literally what I said a couple minutes ago. Hey, listen though, that was the end of this little short video. Sweden and a deadly gang problem. Again, if y'all want to see the full video, full hour-long that little documentary shit that he did, let me know in the comments for more Swedish content. You want me to react to music, any artists that you're interested in, feel me? Want us to listen to him. DM, comments, like the video, subscribe. Get into it, man. We're doing this.